In this video, we're talking about how you hide jump cuts. Because on YouTube, there's a trend to just cut every few seconds, cut out all the blank spaces and the ums, oohs, and ahs, and the ooh, and just move the video forward, because when you move the video forward, you keep the audience engaged, but there is a big chunk of the audience that really does not like watching jump cuts. And sometimes it just feels better when you create an edit that's seamless from beginning to end. So in this video, I'm going through a few different methods that I use to create seamless edits so that I can hide all those little pesky jump cuts. All right, guys, let's get into it. In this video, what we're talking about is jump cuts. So when you're shooting your videos, if you're not super good on camera, you sometimes take breaks, or you say ooh, or there's other things that come up, and instead of leaving that in your edit, you just cut out that little section and it moves the video along faster. And this is important just for YouTube in general. Audiences on YouTube want content delivered fast. They don't want to sit there and wait. Now, obviously, there's certain types of content that are longer, more drawn out. But when it comes to talking bits, like this style of content where you're just delivering information, people don't want to wait around for you to think through your thoughts and then deliver it. So if your video is 15 minutes, but once you cut out all those spaces in between and ums and oohs and all that, your video is going to end up being something like 8 minutes. On my videos, I'm not seamless from beginning to end. I have sections that I do at a time. Sometimes I'll do a section that ends up being a little bit longer, but there's a lot of times where I'm making multiple cuts. So I've come up with a whole list of tactics that I use if I want to hide jump cuts. And sometimes you might just leave a jump cut in. I don't think that jump cuts are bad. However, if it's like jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, that's when audiences really start seeing your edit. And depending on who your audience is, it might become really distracting and people will unsubscribe and leave your channel. So using some of these tricks and these ways to seamlessly transition from one shot to another will help keep your audience engaged while also not distracting your audience because you're using a lot of jump cuts. So number one is setting yourself up for success and just being able to go on a rant, just being able to deliver the entire speech without having those breaks and those ums and those ahs and thinking through it. Now this comes from knowledge and experience. So if you're someone who does a lot of public speaking, or if you're someone who is good on camera, you might be able to go from beginning to end and just knock it out. A lot of times what you have to do is come up with everything that you want to talk about, really think through your structure, your outline, and then have something that you can follow, whether it's in your head or just right next to you. But depending on your delivery style, you might be able to get away with just putting the camera, hitting record, and just going for it. I've seen some channels that are pretty impressive where they go for 10 minutes straight without taking a break. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually super engaging if you can pull it off. Me personally, I can't go for that long and keep my thoughts straight. So I'm going to use one of the other 5 tactics that I have for you here. And the second one is using a teleprompter. So a teleprompter is a great way to get everything out without taking a ton of breaks. Teleprompter is just a device that you put on front of your lens and use your iPad or your phone, and basically you write out your entire script and then it plays back on this mirror that goes in front of the lens. Now your lens can't see the teleprompter at all. You're basically shooting through this one-way mirror system, and when you're looking at the lens, you're basically seeing the text roll by. So you could sit here and just read line, 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 and when you're looking at the teleprompter, you're actually looking into the lens, so it makes it more engaging. Because obviously on YouTube, you want to make sure that you're engaging with your audience. You don't want to be looking over here at a script. You would rather be looking right at the lens. So a teleprompter is a great way to just make sure that you're concise, make sure that you're getting all the information out, make sure that you're getting the video out how you want to get it out while still being able to deliver without a lot of breaks. Now I found that teleprompters for me make my conversation more robotic. I'm much more of the creator who builds an outline, comes up with talking points, and then just goes for it, because when I deliver, it comes out more organic. Now, because of that, I have to use different tricks to hide cuts, because I go back once in a while to reset what I said and say it in a different way. So I'm kind of creating my script as I go, and I use an outline. So my third tactic to hide jump cuts is to use B-roll. And you saw it just now with this teleprompter section. I hid a bunch of my jump cuts by using B-roll of teleprompters to show you what I'm talking about. So B-roll is a great method to hide jump cuts because you just put it over the edit. And basically what happens is you're cutting away from the shot, you're showing something that ties into what it is that you're talking about, and then you cut back to you, and right there you've hidden a cut. So it seems like the conversation is fluid. However, you're just using B-roll to hide that section that you cut out. The fourth method, and you've seen this as we've been shooting this video, which is punching in and out. So this is a tactic that I use all the time because it's an easy way to do a jump cut, but make it feel seamless. So when you punch in, it actually looks like you're using another camera. It could be two cameras stacked on top of each other, but it's just a different shot. So it's not the same shot back to back, so it feels more seamless because it looks like multiple cameras. And that brings me to my next transition technique, which is actually using multiple cameras. Now, I've been using this more and more, and sometimes it works and sometimes it might be a little too much, but what you can do is have different cameras set up. When you're shooting like documentary projects or you're doing any sort of interview, you want to always have at least two cameras on your subject, one front and potentially one off to the side. Now on YouTube, it's a little bit different because you never really want to get that side shot. When you're doing an interview, it might make more sense because typically when you're shooting like documentary projects, you're not looking right at the lens. The interviewee is looking a little bit off the lens to the interviewer. So it's a little bit different methodology when it comes to YouTube, but you can do kind of the newscast style where you have one camera and then you turn to another camera. And I've done this in a few videos, as you can see here, where I had multiple cameras, one on a slider, one on a jib, and then one dead center. This for me was a super easy way to create videos because I would just have an outline, and then every time I need to transition or I get caught up in some way, I just switched cameras. And so it makes it super seamless because I cut on the turn. And when you cut on the turn, it feels seamless. Even if you stop between, you just repeat that turn motion to the next camera, you cut right on the action of you moving, and boom, it feels like that you're just turning your head and looking at a different camera. It creates a super seamless transition, and it looks like you're doing everything in just one take. Now, the sixth tactic that you can use to create seamless transitions is graphics. And you see this right here. Every time that I go to a new transition, I've put a graphic up. Every time I talk about something specific, I put something boom on screen, and those are all hiding cuts. So it's just like B-roll. You're putting something on screen that takes over the screen, takes me off the screen, I can make my cut, and then I come back and it looks like it's seamless and it sounds like it's seamless. Now, one thing you gotta think about, when you're doing jump cuts, you really have to focus on audio, because if your audio doesn't match up or there's some sort of weird little blip, like in between the two shots, it's gonna feel like you made a cut. So you have to really think about how you transition the audio. So there's a few methods that you can use. One is obviously just make a hard cut, and if the audio's clean, then you might not hear any sort of like transition moment. But another tactic that I use is I fade out of the previous shot and fade into the next shot, and I overlap them just a little bit on the timeline. And this happens all the time when I'm transitioning from one take to another, because what I'll do is sometimes I'll cut in the middle of a sentence. Maybe I want to cut off half of what I said previously and cut right into the next sentence. And what I'll do is just find where I end a word, fade it down, and I have to play with that fade so it sounds seamless, and then fade into the next one. And you want to make sure that it sounds like it's continuous. That's key when it comes to audio editing. If you have this like fade down and then it fades back up, people will hear that cut. And it's one of those things when it comes to creating videos in general, people are more in tune with audio because the audio experience is so important. They might not necessarily know exactly what they're hearing, but if there is some sort of blip or there is some faded transition, they're gonna be like, oh, they transition shots, even if you have B-roll or graphics on screen. And so you really want to focus on making sure that the audio is seamless, because then whatever you do with the visuals will make it feel like it's just a continuous take from beginning to end, and the conversation will continue from beginning to end. One last thing I want to leave you on is that you want to use all of these different tactics. So don't just focus on B-roll or don't just focus on graphics. Use a mixture of graphics, B-roll, multicams. Try to outline different sections where you can do just like a straight talk for a minute or 2 minutes. Maybe try a teleprompter. You got to really find what works best for you and how you can create a flow of your videos so that your videos feel seamless. Because if you can keep the audience engaged and keep them on your video, well, then your video is going to get more audience retention, watch time, all the things that tells YouTube that, you know, YouTube should be sending this video out to more people, which gets you more views, subscribers, watch, you know, like all that. So next, I highly suggest you check out this video right here. It's all about a method on how you can edit faster by doing this one little tweak before you actually start editing. All right, guys, I'll see you over there.